Pain. It's not some arbitrary force that drops into your life unannounced. It's calculated, precise, a message sent with purpose. In psychology, they like to frame it as a symptom, something to be treated, managed, silenced. But that's where they get it all wrong. Pain isn't just something to endure or suppress. It's the most honest signal your mind and body can send, screaming for change. The real irony? Most people ignore it, numb it, drown it in distractions, when in reality, it's the clearest call for transformation they'll ever receive. Pain never shows up without reason. It's connected to something deep, something that demands a shift in your existence. Perhaps you've been stagnant too long, clinging to routines, to identities that no longer serve you. It's as if the universe itself is applying pressure, forcing you to crack open and shed the skin of your former self. Emotional pain, psychological distress, it's all part of this grand design. It's the subconscious dragging you, sometimes kicking and screaming, toward the path you've refused to walk. Yet, people would rather retreat into their little shells, hiding from the pain, pretending it's just a passing phase. But it isn't. Pain is a harbinger. It's a warning that something inside you is broken and must be torn down before anything new happens. Stop running from it. It's almost amusing, watching them flee, as if pain were some ravenous beast. They scramble, desperate to avoid it, clinging to distractions and hollow comforts, like they can outrun what's inevitable. But the kicker, pain, catches up with everyone. No matter how fast they run, no matter how deep they bury themselves in their illusions, pain will find them. And when it does, it won't come quietly. It will tear through them because they've never faced it, never learned to endure, never understood its purpose. And while they drown in their fear, you could have risen, could have embraced it, could have turned that suffering into strength. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the sharp reminder that you're alive, that you haven't fallen into the dull oblivion of comfort that so many crave. It's the fire that forges, the force that carves away the weakness, the illusion of safety. They run from it because they've been taught that life is supposed to be easy, that happiness is the goal. But happiness is fleeting. It's a drug that numbs the senses and leaves you hollow inside. Pain, though, that's where the real transformation lies. It's the sculptor, and you are the clay. Let it carve into you. Let it break you open so you can rebuild, stronger, sharper, with nothing but raw, untapped potential burning at your core. They'll tell you that avoiding pain is the smart move, the way to survive. But survival is overrated. It's not about just getting by. It's about evolving, about becoming something more, something greater than they could ever imagine. And pain is the price of that evolution. Pain is the cost of growth, of transformation. So stop running. Let it catch you. Let it sink its claws into your flesh. Let it rip you apart. Because only then will you understand what it means to truly rise. Only then will you see what you're really capable of. Once the fear of suffering no longer controls you. Running from pain doesn't save you. It shackles you. It keeps you small, keeps you weak, keeps you tethered to a life of mediocrity. You've seen them, the ones who hide behind their comforts, behind their false bravado, pretending they've got it all figured out. But they're scared of what they'll become if they ever stop running. scared of the darkness, waiting just behind the pain. And yet it's in that darkness that everything changes. It's where you find your true self, the version of you that isn't afraid to break, because breaking is just the beginning. They chase pleasure because it's easy, because it's safe. But safety is a lie. The world is not soft, not gentle, and neither should you be. Every moment spent avoiding pain is a moment lost to fear. Every step taken in the opposite direction is a step toward your own demise. But you don't need to follow them. You can stop running. You can turn around and face the pain head on. Feel it burn through you. And then realize it's not the monster they warned you about. It's your guide, your teacher, your relentless companion on the path to greatness. Pain reveals what comfort hides. It strips away the facade, leaving only what's real, what's raw, what's left when all the illusions are gone. And when you stop running from it, when you allow it to flood through you, you begin to see the truth. It was never the enemy. It was always the key to unlocking a strength you never knew existed. The strength to keep moving forward even when the world is trying to tear you down. The strength to rise above the ashes of your old self, to become the version of you that no longer fears anything, because you've already faced the worst. When the pain settles into your life, understand that it's not asking for a bandage. It's demanding an overhaul. It comes when the current version of your reality can no longer sustain itself, when your mind knows that continuing down the same path will lead you nowhere. It's your psyche tearing down the delusion you've constructed for yourself. It's not an enemy, it's an alarm. The pain isn't random. It's connected to the areas of your life that you've neglected, the weaknesses you've let fester, the stagnation that's holding you captive. Psychology tries to frame pain as something to be cured, as if it's an aberration of the mind. But in the deepest recesses of the psyche, pain is a force of nature, a call for revolution. It's when your inner self rebels against the person you've become, demanding that you evolve or perish. Psychological pain, whether it manifests as anxiety, depression, or fear, is not just discomfort. It's the darkness you've ignored for far too long, the parts of you that need transformation, screaming to be acknowledged. To run from it is to deny your own evolution. People cling to what's familiar, to what's safe. But pain has no interest in safety or comfort. It is the destroyer of illusions, the harbinger of chaos that precedes rebirth. It knows that comfort is a slow death, that staying where you are leads to a life lived in chains. Pain wants to free you, but first, it must tear apart everything you've come to know. And that's where most people falter. They would rather cling to their comfortable prisons than face the agony of real change. But those who understand the role of pain, those who embrace its message, are the ones who rise from it transformed. In psychological terms, pain is the mind's way of signaling that something has to die, whether it's an old belief, a toxic relationship, or a part of yourself that's no longer useful. It's the psyche's final warning that you've stayed still for too long, that the life you've built is crumbling, and you must rebuild from the ashes. Pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to strip away what's weak, what's stagnant, so that something stronger can emerge. To resist that process is to live in perpetual agony, to fight a war you can never win. But to embrace it, that's where true power lies. That's where transformation begins. The way out of pain has never been in running from it. It's in seeking the answers buried beneath it, in diving headfirst into the questions that pain dares you to ask. Pain is the doorway, and on the other side lies understanding, but only for those brave enough to venture through. While others cower, numbing themselves into oblivion, the real path is to let the pain guide you into the unknown, where answers wait. There is something almost thrilling in that pursuit, isn't there? The uncharted territory where most fear to tread, where only those who hunger for more knowledge, more power, more of what lies beyond the superficial, will dare to go. Answers are the prize, and the only way to earn them is through the crucible of suffering. Pain forces you to question everything. It strips away the comfortable lies, burns off the delusions, and leaves you standing face to face with the raw questions. Why are you suffering? What have you ignored? What have you been too blind or too arrogant to confront? These questions are a mirror, and most will look away. But those who dare to stare into that reflection, who seek the answers within it, will find that pain was never the enemy. It was the key to unlocking everything. Was there ever anything more exhilarating than seeking those answers? Life itself is nothing without the questions that haunt you, that drive you, that push you further into the abyss where the truth lies hidden. Every moment of suffering is an opportunity, a twisted invitation to find what others cannot. Most people would rather stay blind, stay asleep in their bubbles of comfort. They're terrified of what they might find if they ask the wrong questions. But those who crave the answers, who need the answers, they are the ones who know that pain is the guide, leading them deeper into their own power. Pain is a map, but only for those who know how to read it. Every ache, every wound, every ounce of agony, it all points somewhere. It all demands exploration. The path out of suffering isn't through avoidance. It's through the relentless pursuit of understanding. Each step through the darkness reveals another layer of truth, another piece of the puzzle that others refuse to even acknowledge. Pain dares you to ask, to search, to dig through the rubble of your mind and uncover the wisdom buried beneath the wreckage. There is no thrill quite like seeking answers where no one else is willing to go. Most are content with surface-level truths, with the easy explanations. They don't have the stomach for what lies beneath, for the questions that pain forces you to ask. To seek answers in pain is to become something more than human. It's to evolve beyond the petty fears and shallow distractions that keep others from ever truly understanding themselves. It's to walk a path that few dare to tread, a path that leads not to comfort, but to clarity. And once you begin that journey, there's no turning back. The need for answers consumes you, and suddenly, the pain that once seemed unbearable becomes nothing more than the price you gladly pay for the knowledge that no one else can possess. Pain will push you to ask the hard questions. It will push you into the darkest corners of your mind, where the answers are waiting, but only for those who are ruthless enough to find them. There's a satisfaction in that hunt, in that relentless pursuit of truth that nothing else can match. Because once you've faced the pain, once you've asked the questions and found the answers, you're no longer controlled by it. You become something else entirely, someone who has taken the worst life has to offer and used it to find the very thing that makes life worth living. The other side of pain? Oh, that's where the beauty lies. after you've walked through the fire, after you've let it tear you apart and mold you into something unrecognizable, that's when the transformation is complete. It's not just survival, it's evolution. Pain leaves its mark on everyone, but those who endure, who embrace it, are the ones who come out the other side as something more than they ever were. On the surface, you become a person of peace, but underneath, you're a weapon, a soul forged in war, calm in the quiet, yet ready for the storm. And that balance, that razor-sharp equilibrium, is something no one can touch. The irony is that peace, real peace, only belongs to those who know war. Not just the kind waged on battlefields, but the wars within, the ones fought in the depths of the mind, in the darkest corners of the soul. Without that struggle, without the agony that forces you to learn every sharp edge of your being, peace is just a fragile illusion. But once you've walked through the depths, once you've let pain become your teacher, peace becomes something else entirely. It's not fragile, it's eternal. It's a fortress, built from the ashes of every battle, a calm that no one can shake, because they will never know what it took to get there. Most people think peace means the absence of conflict. They're wrong. Peace is knowing you could unleash hell at any moment, that you are capable of destruction, but choosing not to. Not because you're afraid of what might happen, but because you've mastered the chaos within. Those who haven't faced pain, who haven't let it break them and rebuild them, will never understand that. They live in constant fear of the next storm, of the next threat. But for someone who has walked through fire, there's no fear left. Peace isn't about avoiding the war. It's about having fought it and knowing that should it come again, you'll be the last one standing. And that's the beauty of it. Pain has a way of sharpening every dull edge, revealing every hidden weapon you didn't even know you had. On the other side of that pain, you're no longer soft, no longer swayed by the trivialities that consume lesser minds. You are both the calm and the storm, the stillness and the violence. That's eternal. To be at peace with yourself, with the world, but to know that should the need arise, you could destroy it all and walk away unscathed. That's power, the kind of power that doesn't need to scream or demand attention. It simply is. They'll never see it coming. They'll mistake your peace for weakness, your calm for complacency. But you know what lies beneath. You know that every battle you've faced has left you with the ability to wage war at a moment's notice. But that's the thing. They'll never push you to that point because your peace is too intimidating. It's unnerving to them. They don't know what you know, that to be skilled at war and yet crave no violence is the ultimate power. It's eternal, unshakable, and most will never understand it. The beauty of the other side of pain is that it's not just survival, it's transcendence. You are no longer simply reacting to the world around you. You control it. Pain has taught you to endure, but more than that, it's taught you that there's no need to fight every battle. Those who are still caught in the chaos of their own minds, who haven't faced their own pain, fight blindly out of fear and desperation. But you know that most battles aren't worth your time. You can choose peace, not out of weakness, but out of strength, knowing that if the time comes, you could unleash something they would never survive.